American kestrels are the smallest falcon in North America. They're a diurnal hunter. This is a male with the gray on the head and the gray on the wings. Female would be more of that tawny brown throughout, with lots of those little black speckles. The female is a bit larger than the male, usually a third larger. Most males weigh between 80 grams and 120 grams. This bird is on a perch that has astroturf that provides a varied surface for their feet. Their feet are very important to make sure they stay in good shape and flat surfaces. Will flatten out the feet and lead to more foot issues, which is one of the bigger issues that captive birds run into in their captivity. So lots of human-made surfaces like this daisy mat, or another common one would be using natural bark or stick perches from the wild. This little bird used to be called a sparrowhawk. So if you're wondering why I'm calling this a kestrel, it actually used to be called a sparrowhawk. And they're known for being really good hunters of small birds as well as small mammals. But their favorite summertime food are grasshoppers. Often be seen hovering over prairies or open fields, looking for all kinds of different food, primarily those grasshoppers, sometimes smaller snakes as well. But they'll hover just like a helicopter. They'll be in one place. They're one of the few birds that does it quite a bit. Lots of birds can do it. This is a bird that can do it for quite a while and very efficiently and effectively. Just like other falcons, it's a pretty quick bird. It's not going to be as fast as the larger peregrine or a prairie falcon, but it is pretty fast considering its size. And the speed comes from the shape of the wings, which is very pointy, very narrow and pointy, kind of like those of a jet. And it just allows them to move through the air that much quicker. The overall mass of the bird prevents it from being as fast as some of the bigger ones. So falcons, when they're born, are born covered in down, eyes are open. They can't do anything. They're kind of stuck in the nest for 3-4 weeks before they start to move. Another 3-4 weeks as they learn to fly and eat, and then probably another few weeks as they just spend time with their parents, being fed a little bit just to get going. So they nest early, right around now, April, and they'll be out of the nest by the end of summer, maybe even middle of summer, on their way to becoming their own bird. This is a red-tailed hawk, and when I was in ornithology class, it was one of the Latin names that for some reason was the easiest for me to remember. Buteo gemaicensis. And the reason we remembered it is my friend and I were big fans of Popeye, and of course one of the bullies in Popeye is Bluto. So we said Bluto goes to Jamaica, and it's stuck in my head now for 27 years or something. So it works. I'm not sure what the gemaicensis means, but Buteo is a genus of hawks that has wide wings, allows them to soar. So oftentimes you'll see red tails soaring, and they're using the warm air coming off the ground, called a thermal, and they'll soar. Sometimes it'll just be big wide arcs, sometimes narrower arcs as they work their way up. If they're indeed migrating, which these birds sometimes will, they would just ride that thermal up to the very, very peak of it and then shoot out, go in the direction they want to, generally south in the fall, generally north in the winter. These birds are pretty big. A cat of comparable size would weigh about 8 or 10 pounds. Most red-tailed hawks are somewhere between 1.5 and 2 pounds. So not very heavy. Most of what you're seeing are contour feathers, making them look a lot bigger, and their bones are mostly hollow, very, very strong, but mostly hollow. You could see that a second ago, the bright red of the tail. We'll see if this bird will show us that tail again. But once after their year they're born, so let's say a bird's born this April of 2020. When it grows in its first tail feathers, they're going to be banded black and white. The rest of its plumage will be very familiar to what you're seeing right now. And then next spring, when it molts out next summer, when it molts out that tail, it'll grow in as red. So for the first year or so, you can tell a red-tailed hawk how old it is, because if it still has that original juvenile tail. It's not something that is common within raptors. Usually their plumage is going to be the same throughout their life, always molting in and molting out new feathers. but the patterns, the colors will all be the same. So it's not generally easy to age them unless you see them in the nest or sometimes from behavior. But that tail for red tail is an easy one. So this barred owl, and all owls have some pretty unique and exciting adaptations, things that allow them to be successful being owls. A majority of owls that live in Minnesota are going to be active during the evening or nighttime hours. And because of that, their adaptations are different than a lot of other animals. And I'm going to talk about a few of those right now. So the first thing I want to point out are her eyes. This bird's eyes are brown. They might look black from afar, but if you're up close, you can tell they're a dark brown. The only other owl that you might find in Minnesota with brown eyes would be a barn owl. We see those very seldom. The rest of them, the other 10 species, all have yellow eyes. So if you see an owl with brown eyes and it's gray, you've got this bird right here, barred owl. But those eyes are, other than just the color, which is something we can see, have some really neat things going on. First of all, they're really big. If we were to make her head as big as mine and her eyes grow at that same ratio, her eyes would be as big as baseballs. So a lot of the birds of an owl's head is dedicated to their eyes. And actually what we're seeing is the tip of the eyes. It goes in, it's like a light bulb. With this would be the part that gets screwed in. The other part, these are the old school incandescent bulbs, would be in the back. And that also prevents their eyes from being able to move. So they can't be moving their eyes back and forth. So if they see something, you'll see them swivel their head pretty quickly. Doesn't go all the way around. It's about 270 degrees, not a full 360. But those eyes are hugely important. Now, getting back to the nighttime, eyes have two types of cells, rod cells and cone cells. The rod cells allow animals to see better in low amounts of light. Some people have more than others, but generally humans don't have a lot of rod cells. We're not generally successful being active at night. Owls have a high number of rod cells. Cone cells are where humans tend to have more. We tend to be able to see different colors. Blue, I don't have a whole lot of colors on. There's a green right here. Of course, that made her jump. But those different cells allow for different activities. So if you're active at night, having a lot of rod cells is important. So that's why they're able to be so successful at night. So they're able to see well at night, which is important. They're also using their ears. Now we can't see their ears, and we have these flaps that help us collect sound into our ear. And the owls, where her eyes are, they're sunken down into sort of a dish shape. Those dishes, facial discs, are going to collect sound and send them right to their ears. One's on the right, of course, one's on the left, but one's higher, one's lower. Depending on which ear picks up the sound first, the bird's going to know if the sound's above or below, and also left and right. And instead of having to go like this to hear better, they'll turn their eyes directly to where they're hearing the sound. So it gets their eyes and their ears working together. They know where something is now. They've pictured this. They have this triangulation image in their head. They know where to fly to, and that's what they're going to do next, is fly. Birds generally have a couple of choices. A couple of alternatives. Go really fast, go really slow. An animal like a falcon, a peregrine falcon, is going to go really fast. That is an adaptation. Owls generally go pretty slow. Slow because their feathers are set up in such a way that when they take a wing beat, it's nearly silent. You can hear a little bit, but not nearly as much as you would if you listen to a wood duck fly by, or even a robin. I mean, a lot of those wings are going to be much more streamlined and a lot quicker, and you'll actually hear the wing beat. Owls are slower, but they're also really quiet. Goes along really well with moving through the night. So they're not only under the cover of darkness, they're also coming in very quietly. Once they get to the animal they're hoping to eat, whether it's a mouse or a squirrel or a rabbit, they're going to use these talons down here
to grab on. Those talons are really strong, and I read somewhere that one of the strongest forces in North America is a great horned owl. This is a bird a little bit larger than this one. And they grab on and they hold, and they're sort of a ratcheted on. They're not just going to come loose. They really want to hold on to that animal, and then they're going to use their beak sort of as the knife. So the talons are going to serve as a fork to hold, and the beak is going to serve as a knife to cut and rip apart things, the animals, so they're able to eat it. If it's a mouse, they're going to eat it straight whole. If it's going to be a squirrel or a rabbit, they might just eat the head, but at least they'll start there and then pick away as much as they need to make sure their stomach is full. Hawks have a crop, so they're able to fill their stomach and then their crop as well, sort of a storage of extra food. Owls do not have that luxury, so you'll often see, like I said, rabbits or squirrels just with the head missing, and that's simply because there's only so much room in this bird's stomach. They're going to eat everything whole, and then when they're done, they will cast a pellet. And that pellet is going to be bones and fur, or bones and feathers, depending on what they've eaten, of their prey. The barred owl gets fed anywhere from 40 to 80 grams of food a day, depending on her current weight. So a lot of places that have captive birds will weigh them each and every day and dictate how much they feed them based on a target weight that's determined from lots of different resources, one of which would be the Raptor Center at the University of Minnesota, which is a leader in the country in terms of caring for raptors, both in a clinical sense, but also in a long-term residential sense. So this bird today is going to be fed a chick. So if you don't want to watch that, you might just want to turn your head for about a minute or so. But I'm going to hand her the chick, and we'll see if she eats it, and then we'll talk about how she deals with it. So she should hold on to it for a while. Sometimes she will grab it and tear off the head. That's where the most energy is, right in that head. It doesn't look like she's very hungry at this point, which is fine. You know, we can't force her to eat. We can offer her the food. She did eat the head, which, like I mentioned before, has the most energy in it. I'm guessing she'll eat the rest of this later. So when they're done eating, about 24 hours later, owls will cough up a pellet, and the pellet's going to be all the fur and bones of what they ate. So this looks like it was probably either a rat or something, not a chick, because it's not the yellowish color of the chick. So you can kind of get a sense of what they've been eating. If it's a full mouse or a vole, you can pull those things apart and actually put the skeleton back together. It's kind of a fun activity if you're into that kind of stuff. Hawks and falcons will also eat everything whole, but their bodies are able to digest the bones. So you'll know the difference between an owl and a hawk and falcon pellet from if there's bones in there. The bones of, say, a kestrel will be dissolved by their stomach acid, whereas the owls don't have that happening. So those are some facts about the barred owl. Once again, we're in Anoka County at Warrego Nature Center. They were very generous in letting us come and use their bird today. We just want to encourage people to get out to different nature centers and see these birds, or the Raptor Center when all the places open back up in the summer. So thank you. And once again, keep your eyes open and ears open for owls.
Hi everyone, it's Naturalist Rachel here to read you guys this week's story, What Makes a Bird by Mae Garelick. This story goes with our theme this week of the power of flight. Let's find out what makes a bird a bird. In trees and in bushes, at the edge of a brook, on the ground and in the air, birds are flying, singing, calling, bathing, nesting. How do we know that a bird is a bird? What makes it a bird? Is it a bird because it flies? You can hear the birds around here. A fly flies. So do butterflies, ladybugs, dragonflies, and bees. But these are not birds. They're insects. Many insects fly. Not as fast as birds, not as far as birds, except for maybe the monarch butterfly. But many insects fly. And what is this flying around in the middle of the night? It's not an insect. It's not a bird. It's a bat. All day, bats hang upside down, asleep in hollow trees or in caves. At night, they wake, catching insects to eat as they fly around. Bats fly, insects fly, birds fly, and other living things fly too. What do you think this is, flying above the water? Is it a bat? An insect? A bird? No, it's a flying fish that has been frightened by an enemy underwater. Like all fish, a flying fish lives in the water. But if an enemy comes near, it can jump up out of the water, dart through the air, and escape. Flying fish don't fly high, and they don't fly far, but they fly higher and farther than some birds. Well, that's crazy. If there are flying insects, flying bats, and even flying fish, then it's not flying that makes a bird a bird. As a matter of fact, you know a bird that doesn't fly? Have you ever seen a chicken fly? I have. It's weird. Hardly ever. Sometimes a chicken tries to fly, but it doesn't get far. To get anywhere, a chicken walks. Is a chicken a bird? Yes. Another bird that doesn't fly is the ostrich. It's the biggest bird in the world, but it can't fly. An ostrich can run fast, though, even faster than a horse. No wonder. Look at those long legs. That's why the ostrich is such a fast runner. Can you think of another bird that can't fly? I can think of a couple. Oh, a penguin can't fly. Penguins walk down to the water, they waddle, and into the sea for a swim. If the ostrich can't fly, and penguins and chickens can't fly, what makes them birds? Are they birds because they have wings? Birds have wings, all right. But look at a fly flying around. You can see its wings, and dragonflies and butterflies and bees have wings too. Not all insects have wings, but those that fly have to have wings. Anything that flies has to have wings. Then what about a chicken and an ostrich? They have wings, but they don't fly. Why? Their wings are too small to lift their bodies up into the air. The penguin's little wings are like flippers. They're fine for swimming, but too small to lift the penguin up into the air. Still, an ostrich, a chicken, and a penguin are birds. So it isn't wings that make a bird a bird. Is a bird a thing that sings? Birds sing and call to each other, especially in the spring. You can hear them here, actually. Some birds sing, some birds call, some cluck, some quack. That's how birds communicate. One bird's song may mean, "This is my tree, keep away." Usually other birds do keep away. If they don't, there's a fight. Tree, tree! A male bird sings to a female bird. Maybe his song means, "Come and join me." But lots of insects sing and call their messages to each other too. Crickets chirp and grasshoppers hum. Katydids repeat their rhythmic song all night long. Katydid, 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 din. all of these insects' songs, the tree cricket's song at night is the most beautiful. So it is singing that makes a bird a bird. What is the special thing that makes a bird a bird? Is it a bird if it builds a nest? Some birds build nests in trees and bushes, under caves, in barns. Sometimes they even build nests in mailboxes, wherever their eggs and their babies will be safe. Birds' eggs must be kept warm in order to hatch. The nest and the mother's body heat keep the eggs warm. But some birds build no nests at all. The oyster catcher lays its eggs on the sand, but the eggs are the color of the sand around them, camouflaged, so they're safe. The penguin that lives in the cold, icy Antarctic builds no nest. The mother lays one egg, then the father penguin carries the egg on top of his feet, close to his body. That's how he keeps the egg warm for 2 months, until it's ready to hatch. Other creatures make nests. Ants and bees and snakes and fish and rabbits and mice, they all make nests. Nest building is not the special thing that makes a bird a bird. Ooh, great. Neither is egg laying. All birds lay eggs, it's true. But so do frogs, snakes, fish, bees, mosquitoes, and many other creatures. So it's not flying that makes a bird, different from anything else alive. And it's not having wings, and it's not singing or calling, and it's not building nests or laying eggs. What is it then that makes a bird a bird? Birds have something no other living thing has. What is it? Do you guys think you know? Feathers! Only birds have feathers. That's the special thing that makes a bird a bird. A bird has to have feathers to be a bird. If it flies or not, if it sings or not, anything with feathers is a bird. Feathers are strong. Try to break or tear one, and you'll see how strong a feather is. Bend a feather so the tip touches the bottom. Watch it spring back. It won't break. Feathers are light. Hold a feather and you'll see how light it is. You've heard people say something is light as a feather. Feathers are beautiful. They come in many colors. There are red cardinals, blue jays, black blackbirds, white doves, green parrots, brown sparrows, and many other birds of other colored feathers. Feathers are useful too. They do many things for birds. Flight feathers make birds the best flyers. Even though other creatures fly, no living creature can fly as long or as far as a bird. A bird has several layers of feathers. There's a cloak of feathers that helps keep birds warm in the winter. Watch a bird on a cold day. It looks like a fat puffball because it's fluffed out its feathers to keep out the cold. A layer of flat feathers helps keep birds cool in the summer. The heat from the bird's body works its way out through these feathers. Feathers help keep birds dry in the rain. Put a drop of water on a feather and watch the water slide off. Birds take good care of their feathers. Some birds bathe in water, ducking, splashing, spreading their wings. Some birds bathe in fine dust. After bathing, they preen their feathers carefully with their beaks. From an oil sac at the tail, birds take oil into their beaks to waterproof, soften, and straighten their feathers. But eventually, the feathers get brittle and wear out. About once a year, birds molt. Their worn-out feathers fall out. Not all at once, just one or two at a time. And as old feathers fall out, new ones grow in. You may find some of these old feathers on the ground. Pick them up and look at them. Feathers are the special things that makes a bird a bird. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed, I hope you all enjoyed this week's story of what makes a bird a bird. It's really interesting to learn what makes an animal an animal. It's pretty fun. I hope you enjoyed this week. Good luck with all of your adventures. Hope to see you around Wood Lake. Bye.